Welcome to the 2020-21 school year. I'm Sally Rosansky, proud principal of Bach Middle School of the Arts. For all my returning students and parents, welcome back to Bach, and we're looking forward to seeing you again. And for all my new students and their parents, I welcome you to the Bach family. This is going to be a very unusual year for us. We're starting off in distance learning, but we've made some great preparations, and I know you at home have made your best efforts to do everything you can to have your child ready. So today I'm just going to give a little bit of information about what's going to be going on, what you can expect in distance learning, and what the teachers have been doing. So come and join me, you and your child, to watch this video. Thank you. So a little bragging, I want to tell you that of course we're recognized throughout the state and nation for our outstanding arts program. And we have our communications majors, visual arts, theater, dance, and our music department with band, strings, vocal, and piano. And of course the arts work perfect with academics, and we are the top school in Palm Beach County, that's high school and middle schools. We're the top 20 of all the public schools in the state of Florida, and top 3 of all the public schools, middle schools in the state of Florida. So we're so very delighted that we can have the arts and the academics working together to really bring out the most for our students. What have we been doing? What have you been doing all summer long? We've been getting our kids ready. We've been hopefully having some fun, and school's been really trying hard to get prepared for right now, for this moment. We've scheduled 8 classes for over 1,400 students. Parents and guardians, thank you so much for filling out that parent questionnaire. It really helped us a lot. That let us know who needed laptops and internets. Teachers have sent out welcome emails, and when they did that, we could find out what students, any kind of students that needed schedule changes. We gave out, and I appreciate you coming through that line, for consumable textbooks, schedules, planners, and documents. And some of those documents I'm going to be talking about today are so very important that you sit down and read with your student. We also sent out, you've got your schedule for your quarter 1. And when the teachers sent out that welcome email, they also sent you out the Google codes to the students so they could sign up for their classrooms or Google Classrooms. And so if you haven't gotten that yet from the teacher, if your child hasn't gotten that yet from the teacher, please email that teacher. And just like I'm doing a welcome video, your teachers are doing welcome videos, and they're preparing a syllabus for each one of their classes, and they're going to post that on the Google Classroom. So let's get into it. What are our expectations for distance learning? You have most of this information is contained in those documents I just mentioned, but it's very important that all students every school day adhere to district, school, and classroom rules, policies, and procedures. They attend school every day and prepare to learn. And at Bach, it's a little different. We actually follow a odd-even calendar. And so students only go to 4 classes each day. So if we look at this here, you'll see the odd and even day. And we start at 8:20. That's when students start class. And we're going to start with a SEL, a social and emotional learning. And we're also going to, once we get started, see our Bach MSOA Today Away, which is great. And you can go through, of course, on distance learning, we all have lunch at the same time. And then at the end, you'll see there's teacher office hours from 3:10 to 3:40. And that's where your student can make an appointment to ask a particular question of a teacher that they weren't able to do during a school day. And if you require something more than an email, you can set up a time to speak with the teacher as well. And here is the odd and even calendar. You can see August 31st, it's right up there, is an odd day. We always start with an odd day, so your students, the kids will go see 1, 3, 5, and 7. And then on even days, they go through their 2, 4, 6, and 8 class. And you have this again, was in the documents that I prepared for you. So unlike last school year when we did distance learning, the child has to log into the Google Classroom every day on time. It's no more recording and getting on whenever you want. If the class starts at 8:20, your child is logged on through their student portal onto that class. And they should always go through the student portal to get into that Google Classroom. And when they participate, they're going to be in class, have that camera turned on and their mic muted, and when the teacher would like them to answer, they're going to unmute their microphone and give a response. Remember, students can also type in the chat box any kind of questions they have. They don't have to verbally ask a question. So what does that student portal look like? Well, your child has a specific username and password that they'll go in to log into their portal. And you'll see, this is an example of what the portal looks like. It has application for meal benefits for free and reduced lunch. The Google Classroom link is there, how they get into their email. SIS, the Student Information System. They can report bullying. They have their online textbooks. They can change their password. Performance Matters, where they take their assessments for the district and for their teachers sometimes to get into their Google Drive, and you can access the district website. And there's so many more tiles on that portal. Below that, you'll see that's an example of what Google Classrooms look like, that your child will have 8 of those across. I want to caution you too that we have quarter classes and semester classes, so you're just looking at your child's schedule for quarter 1 in those teachers. So what is live instruction going to look like? Well, I already told you that student's going to have that camera turned on and their mic muted. That teacher's going to come on. They're going to give them an agenda for the day, and they're going to tape their live instruction. Will be taped. So when they're introducing a topic or teaching the students, that will be recorded. Then once the students begin their work, the recording will be turned off. The students will do their work. Sometimes the teacher might ask specific questions or go into little breakout rules. This is great that they're recording it, because if your child is absent or they want to take a second look, they can. But we have to make sure that those students follow the technology rules. And so here's just a few excerpts from that technology. We want to make sure that when we're in school or out of school that we use technology appropriately. And if you received a district laptop, only that student may use that district laptop. It's for them and no one else in the family. Students are not allowed to video record or audio record or photograph or live stream anything that is on that Google Classroom. We're very strict with that. That's also a state law, and there are some severe consequences for doing that. It's the same thing. They can't alter or misappropriate or misuse any type of video recording. As I said, that is a very strong violation of the student code of conduct, and it could rise to the part where your child is exited from box. So we don't want that to happen. Please ensure that your child is on that online session and they're dressed appropriately. And I'm going to go over the dress code later, and you'll see where we allow the kids to have a lot of freedom in their dress, but just like online, they have to be dressed appropriately. They need to be courteous and respectful on what they're doing, and of course, we do not want them to use any inappropriate, offensive, threatening comments or anything that's going to disrupt the learning environment. And we know that this is not going to happen with box students, but we need to say it and make it clear that this is very important, that their online attitude and presentation is just like they would be in the classroom. So more with live instruction. We're going to make sure that when they're in live instruction that they complete their classwork is going to be completed during class time. So I want to tell you the difference between all the different assignments. So classwork or assessments that they give in class are given during class time to complete. And they may be required to submit that during class time when instructed by the teacher. They might do some classwork that blends over into the next class. But if the teacher gives an assignment and says submit it, the student submits it before they get off that Google Classroom. Homework assignments is work that's done outside the classroom. And that's work that's time and effort, again, that would be not during the class time. And the district has mandated that they have a 24-hour minimum on that. So when homework is given for that 24 hours, it starts based on the time the class starts. So if your class starts at 10 o'clock on a Monday, the teacher could require that homework to be submitted by 10 o'clock on Tuesday, even though you do not see that class again until Wednesday. This is not a change for our 6th grade students. They don't know any differently, but this is a little different for our students that are usually used to just submitting work the next time they come to class. But distance learning is a bit different. So let's remember that. You really have to listen and adhere to what the teacher gives you for your time to submit, and that will be part of their agenda in their Google Classroom. And of course, students with 504 or IEP accommodations, they're going to be followed. So if your child does have extended time up to 100%, and that assignment was due on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, they would get to Wednesday at 10 o'clock. But remember, in the classroom, if an assessment is 10 minutes and that student gets double time of 20 minutes, if they get enough time during class time, they are to submit that assignment. And so if you have questions about your child's 504, you would contact the counselor. And questions about your child's IEP, you contact Lori McCormick. Let me remind you that gifted students do not have an IEP, they have an EP. So what happens if your child is going to be absent from school? And that's whether it's brick and mortar or distance learning. You have those procedures, and it's done online in that distance learning guide I gave you and here on the screen. And you can go to the school messenger page. That's where this link is located. This is very important to remember. When a student is absent, it doesn't matter whether it's excused or unexcused. The number of days allowed to make up work is the same number of days the student was absent. So if you were absent from your first period class one day, you come back on Wednesday, you get that assignment, it's due on Friday. You have one day to make that up. If that assignment was a 24-hour assignment, you might have to turn that assignment in on Thursday. It's whatever the other kids had to do. It is the student's responsibility to contact his or her teacher about the makeup assignments, and all the assignments will be right there on the Google Classroom, so kids that are absent can probably get started before they even come back to class. But something else that's very important to remember, if you were absent and classwork was handed in that day, you receive a 0 until it's made up. So parents, I don't want you to go, oh my gosh, why does my child have a 0? And the student freak out that they have a 0. We give that 0 to show that that assignment should have been handed in, and it's a reminder to everyone that the child should make up that work. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about conduct, behavior, and the standards of excellence. You can look at the Student Code of Conduct on the district website to see the rules and the consequences for violating the Student Code of Conduct. We also have school and classroom rules, policies, and procedures. And when you violate those, you might receive a corrective behavior intervention report, which is called a CBIR form. And that's usually given by the classroom teacher. And it'll be a behavior that maybe your child has exhibited and the intervention that the teacher has given them. And then they make you aware of it. And in the brick and mortar, you would sign it and send it back. We actually have an electronic form for distance learning. If a student gets too many of these, her conduct grade would be dropped, and an excessive violation of the Student Code of Conduct or repetitive disobedience would result in a district discipline referral. And you can see the conduct codes for students, the 4321. And something that is exclusive to Bach is our standards of excellence and our statement of commitment. And you get one of those each year, and you have signed it, and your child has signed it. And we want to make sure that you read those over with the student and with the parent, are both on the same level page, so they know the expectation in the arts, attendance, tardies, just an overall vibe of our school, what our expectations are. And it also shows the commitment that we make to your child. So one of the things that the students want to be cognizant of is the dress code. And we have a very lax dress code. We don't have a uniform. We want kids to be able to express themselves. And dress is one way that students express themselves. So make sure you read over that before you buy a classroom, buy your child school clothes. And also we want to make sure that these dress code is followed during distance learning. So let's take a look at some of the things that are not appropriate. Yep, you're going to be at home, but we don't want pajamas. We will have a pajama day one day when we get back to brick and mortar, but it's not the time to be in your pajamas in distance learning. We also don't allow strapless dresses, and this goes for boys and girls. This is just not a female or male thing. Nothing strapless. We don't let your belly show, your back, your side, no scooped tanks. No short shorts. We don't measure and say they're fingertips, but we don't want short shorts, your back exposed. No hat, and we don't want your undergarments to show. So basically, no back, belly, bust, or buns should be showing. We want you to be able to raise your hand in class, to bend over to pick up something and not to be exposed. And so parents, you just want to make sure that when you purchase clothes, sometimes we have people that want to roll up their clothes and tie up their shirt. And so we want to make sure that we have this privilege. It's a privilege to be able to have such a lax dress code that we don't want to have to get stricter on it by people not following it. So just talk to your child. And you cannot put a jacket over, so a person can't wear a strapless dress and then put a jacket over it. You have to be in dress code whether that jacket's on or not. So let's talk a little bit about, I know it's so much to learn here, and so we want to make sure that everybody understands how to communicate. And so one of the ways that we communicate to you and the district communicates to you is through the school district website. And most of the information that you need about transportation, the student of conduct, the student and family handbook, messages from the superintendent, the rules that they're coming out with, you can see the COVID-19 guiding documents, school board, it's all on this part. So you really need to go and look for that information. The other thing that we put on, and you can see the district also adds to our pages, this is our Box School Messenger page. And you can see at the top that I have here, please read these district safety protocols. And that's going to show you some things about COVID and the student protocols due to COVID. On here also, this is how I communicated when distribution came out, our immunizations, our club information will be put up there. So over the next few days and all throughout the year, we're going to be directing you to go to the Box School Messenger page. Very important that you stay in touch. I send you out parent links, and that's how I've informed you that this video was coming up, is through parent link, and the teachers use Teacher Reach. That's how they reached out to you and your child to introduce themselves and to tell you they were sending that Google Classroom code. It sends my parent link, and the Teacher Reach will send emails, phone messages from me, not for the teachers, and texts. And the district also sends it this way. If you're not receiving this information, you need to go to SIS and make sure that your information is right. Some of you have opted out and you block an email, you block a text message, or you block phone messages, and you're not going to get that from us. I can't override what you've said. So if you're missing out on these, you need to make sure your information is correct. And it will only call, I think, 1 or 2 numbers. So you can't have a litany of phone numbers in there. Student Information System, the SIS, is so very important. Students all have an account, and you can see that red icon at the bottom that is there in their portal, and they click it. This is where grades are kept, your contact information, test scores, how you can get your report card. It's so very important that the parents get their SIS access to. Sure, you can look at your child, but there might be things that I send you that I don't send your child, and the same thing with the district. So if you haven't been able to set up your SIS, please contact Micah Kossoff. His email's right there, and he'll get back to you with that information. So what are those lines of communication? Teachers will communicate to you via Teacher Reach, direct email, they might write in the planner or send home information when we're in school. If there is a classroom concern, reach out and contact the teacher. That's after speaking to your child. Remember, give them that opportunity. Empower them to let you share what's happening in school. But if you do have that burning question that cannot be answered, please email the teacher. They don't have phones in their room, so you want to reach out to them. If your child needs support, reach out to their counselor. If there's an unresolved issue after contacting the appropriate personnel, like the teacher or the counselor, then you contact your child's assistant principal. And then if all else fails, you come to me. And you can reach me at the number that is listed in that distance learning guide. So who are your assistant principals? Assistant principals are based on your child's last name, student's last name. So A through F is Miss Conley, GM is Mr. Regula, and N through Z is Miss Clark. And you'll see that they're paired up with a counselor. So Misty Conley is paired up with Miss Jackson, and Mr. Regula is paired up with Sean Henderson, and Crystal Clark is paired up with Miss Parikh. Lori McCormick is the ESC contact, and she also provides counseling to those ESC students, just the ESC students, not gifted students that have EPs. So if your child has an IEP and you have a question about that, that's where you would go to is Miss McCormick. Now, if you had a question about gifted eligibility, that also would be Miss McCormick. So parent info, where can you find this information? And again, how does that teacher communicate? You can find in that SY21 distance learning guide I gave you the phone numbers, email addresses, and phone numbers. Remember, teachers do not have phones in their rooms, so the best way to get in touch with them is email, and it's their first name dot last name at palmbeachschools.org. You can check your child's teacher syllabus. They will have that email information. And as I said, making a phone call is going to be a big lag in time because they do not have a telephone, and on distance learning, they're not at school to get that telephone message. A few more things, just kind of need to know. Cell phones should be off and away during distance learning unless they're using that to learn instead of a laptop or a tablet if it goes down. We're not going to use any student lockers. So when kids do come back to brick and mortar, those who decide to come back, there will be no lockers. Those are locked. And students should only carry what they need for the day anyway. And we'll be giving you organization tips. Supply lists, the teachers will give those to you, what they need. The summer assignments, the teacher again will let you know. I've gotten some emails about what to do with the summer assignments. I didn't give them, the teachers did. They'll tell you when to hand them in. Free and reduced lunch applications. You can get that link. I included the link there. It's also on your child's portal and also on the district page. And two very important organizations that Bach could not live without, and I tell you right now, is the Bach PTO and the MSOA Foundation. And I encourage you, I haven't sent out information yet about joining and donating, but without those two organizations, your children would not have the opportunities, the technology, the experiences, just everything in total, master classes, artists in residence, all those things that they have and share and will share at Bach would not be possible without the Bach PTO and the MSOA Foundation. So please, when you can, join, donate, so very important to us. And as we get closer to school, brick and mortar, I'll be making more of these. So I haven't forgotten about rules that once the kids come back to school, the district is always evolving and they're making rules based on the conditions of the state and the country. So stay tuned for that. But a few things, we do have a SAC committee and those are the dates, and I'll be sending out information on that. Immunization, so very important. The time to do this is now. If your child is entering 7th grade or new students to Palm Beach County, they did not attend a public school in Palm Beach County, they're required to submit a couple of things. A valid health examination, it's got to be on a particular form, the information's there. And they have to have a Florida certificate of immunizations. Those 7th grade students and new 8th grade students must have that Tdap booster. All that information, it's on our site, on this PowerPoint, in that distance learning guide, and you can reach out to Joanne Friedel. You've seen her name quite a bit. Joanne Friedel is our data processor. She's also our athletic director. She's a jack of all trades, and so we want to make sure we reach out to her when we have a question about if we need our address changed or phone number. She can help you out with that, but she's going to be calling you and have been calling you to get that information in, and you're going to email her that. Okay, so what about transportation? I want to make it very clear that Bach has no control over routes, stops, number of buses, how many people sit on a bus, none of that. That is our transportation department. And soon they're going to be sending out a transportation survey that's going to ask you some very, very important questions. And you can always go to the district transportation site, and I have the email there, or their call center. So give them a little bit of opportunity to get that out, get those bus routes out, and get organized, and you can reach out to them. Of course, we have students that ride in Tri-Rail. Right now, Tri-Rail is not running our routes for our train, but we anticipate that once they know that school is going to open and kids are going to be using that, they're going to open up. And so I put that site there for you, and the usual train numbers that we ride. They might change them, but those are the ones we have right now. So what's going to happen when we go back to brick and mortar? The people who come in, what are we going to do? We're going to have kids online. We're going to have kids that come in school. The bell schedule is going to stay the same except for lunch. And you'll see there where lunch gets expanded a little bit, that we're all not taking lunch at the same time. But you're going to see we're going to have 3 lunches, and we'll talk about that again when that presents itself. And our dismissal, where I used to have office hours, you'll see that our dismissal hours will be from 3:10 to 3:40. And we have quite a production, 18, 19 buses, kids that go, 6 buses that go to Tri-Rail. They come back and pick up some more students. And then, of course, we have our car loop, which you're familiar with if you came and picked up textbooks and you had the alphabet A through M. And then this is just a little brief, and I know it's so hard. The kids who have attended Bach, the 7th and 8th graders who have attended Bach, or those 6th grade students who had siblings that attended Bach, this just kind of gives you a glimpse of what all the wonderful things that we do here, the fun we have here, the excitement that's part of it. I want to thank my son Zachary Rosansky, who happens to be a teacher at Jupiter, who actually is editing this film for me and also created this wonderful graphic. It really depicts what Bach is all about. And so guys, as we go on this, Monday starts our adventure and we're all together in this. The one thing that I love about Bach, and I've been teaching since 1984, is that Bach truly is a family. And when the times get tough, we pull together, and when the times are great, we celebrate. So I welcome you back to the family, or I welcome you to the family. And truly, Bach is where inspiration meets endless possibilities. And so, you know, guys, let that journey begin, and we're on it together. So I'll be sending you more videos. I'll be staying in touch. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if I didn't answer all your questions, I'll be reaching out and answering more and more. When I know the answers, I'll be giving them to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.